What happens when the phone stops ringing? When the footsteps that once echoed through your home are no longer there. When mornings come and go and you're the only one noticing. Aging alone in your 80s is a reality many face. One that's rarely talked about but deeply felt. This video isn't here to sugarcoat the silence. It's here to guide you through it. If you've ever felt like the world has moved on without you, like you're watching life from the sidelines, know this. You're not alone in feeling that way. And more importantly, you don't have to stay there. Today, we're sharing 5 real-life, soul-strengthening practices that can bring meaning back into your days. These aren't theories. They're lived truths from elders who've turned solitude into strength. And the final tip? It just might shift the way you think about growing old. Forever. Let's begin. One. Create one reason to wake up every single day. When you're in your 80s and the house is quiet, the hardest part can simply be waking up and wondering why. No obligations, no deadlines, just hours stretched ahead like an empty hallway. But here's the secret. Your day doesn't need to be full, it needs to be meaningful. A daily anchor is your personal signal to life that you're still part of it. It doesn't need to impress anyone, just something that belongs to you alone. Think of it like planting a flag each morning. I'm still here. I still count. Carl's cup of tea on the porch wasn't about tea. It was a quiet declaration of presence. A simple act that attracted connection, not because he sought it, but because he created space for it. That's the power of a habit rooted in love, not duty. So tomorrow, wake up and choose one thing, just one, and let that be your steady thread through the noise or the stillness. Two. Keep the lines open, even if no one calls first. The older we get, the more tempting it becomes to retreat. You tell yourself, if they wanted to hear from me, they'd call. But sometimes people don't reach out, not because they've stopped caring, but because they assume you've moved on. Keeping your side of the connection alive is an act of courage. It's choosing not to let the silence convince you that you've been erased. Joyce didn't wait for someone to write first. With shaking hands and a brave heart, she sent one card each week, and while some were met with silence, others opened doors she thought had closed for good. We never age out of being needed. We never stop being threads in someone else's tapestry. Even when it feels like no one is listening, your voice has a ripple effect. So write the card, make the call, extend the hand, not for a guarantee, but for the possibility that someone else out there is just as eager to hear from you. Three. Build gentle routines that hold you up. Routines aren't just tasks, they're emotional scaffolding. They hold you when your energy dips, when the days blur, when life feels unanchored. And after 80, they become more than habits. They become quiet acts of resistance against despair. You don't need to do 100 things. You need a few things you do with intention. James's routine may sound simple. Oatmeal, newspaper, a walk, a phone call. But those were his guardrails. They gave his day shape, even when the world felt like it was shrinking. There's deep dignity in choosing what to do with your hours, in saying, I'm still the captain of this ship, even if I'm sailing solo. Science backs it too. Routines help regulate sleep, stabilize mood, and prevent cognitive decline. But even beyond that, they remind you that your life still has flow, rhythm, and story. Start small. A morning stretch, lighting a candle before dinner, a handwritten journal at night. When you respect your time, it begins to respect you back. 4. Let the world see you in the smallest ways. Loneliness often doesn't stem from absence. It stems from invisibility. And that's why small human moments matter more than we realize. They say, I see you. And even more importantly, I am still here. Virginia didn't organize social clubs or host dinner parties. She simply smiled on her morning walks. That smile became her fingerprint on the neighborhood. It said, I may be walking alone, but I am still part of this world. We underestimate how far a kind word can travel. The compliment you give could be the best thing someone hears all week. The wave you offer might be the only connection someone receives that day. You don't have to chase connection. You create it in little ways that invite the world to notice you and for you to notice it back. So go ahead. Speak up at the grocery store. Ask how someone's doing. Let your voice echo again in the world, even if only for a moment. Because your kindness still has weight, and when given freely, it often circles back in ways that surprise you. 5. Find purpose in the ordinary. There comes a time when the job titles fall away. The kids no longer need daily care, and the schedule is wide open. And for many, that kind of freedom feels less like a gift and more like a void. But here's the thing, purpose doesn't end when roles do. It simply changes shape. Harold never saw himself as a gardener. But when he planted tomatoes by the window, he wasn't just growing food, he was growing forward. Watching life spring from his care gave his days a heartbeat. Feeding the birds, making the bed, journaling childhood memories. These aren't chores. They're declarations. My life is still worth tending. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be real to you. Something you do not because you have to, but because it makes your life feel lived. Whether it's creating, caring, moving, or sharing, what matters is the doing. It's the showing up for yourself again and again until the ordinary becomes sacred, until the quiet becomes full. You made it to the end, and that means something. It means you're still curious, still listening, still open to change. And that, my friend, is the beginning of everything. Here's what I want you to remember. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. And you are most certainly not done. You've lived through decades of joy, heartbreak, laughter, loss, and yet here you are, still showing up. That's not weakness. That's quiet power. So start small. Start with a walk, a phone call, a cup of tea at sunrise. Do it not for the world, but for yourself, because your presence still carries weight. Your life still has light. If this message resonated with you, leave a comment below. Just one thing you're going to try this week. Let's remind each other, we are still here. We still matter. Hit that like button if this video gave you hope. Subscribe for more stories that speak to the